Welcome back to the Top 1% Book Club. You know how this works. We take these awesome books and really break them open to find those golden nuggets.
Exactly. And today we're diving into a classic one.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Robert Kiyosaki, yeah.
This one's been on our list for a while, and I know a lot of you have been requesting it.
It is a popular one, and you know what, for good reason.
For good reason.
This book is absolutely packed with actionable advice.
It really is. And I think what's cool about this one is it's like a story. It's very personal. You get to kind of experience Kiyosaki's journey with him as he's learning about money, and it just makes it so much more engaging.
It is. And, it makes those financial concepts really stick with you.
They do.
And, it's interesting because Kiyosaki actually learned about money from two very different perspectives.
Two dads.
Two dads, right?
That's where the whole premise of the book comes from.
Exactly. His own father, the poor dad, and then his best friend's dad, the rich dad.
And I think that's what's so fascinating is you see how these two very different mindsets and approaches to money shape their lives.
It really highlights the core message of the book, It's not just about how much you earn.
It's what you do with it.
Yeah, it's about your mindset.
Your money blueprint.
Absolutely. And that leads us to one of the biggest takeaways from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the whole idea of assets versus liabilities.
This one's huge.
It really is. It sounds simple, right?
On the surface.
But understanding this distinction can be a total game changer.
So let's break it down.
Okay, so an asset.
Puts money in your pocket.
Exactly.
Way.
Think stocks, real estate, a business that's generating income.
Passive income. That's the dream.
Right. Meanwhile, a liability.
Takes money out.
It's a drain on your resources. Think car payments, credit card debt, even that daily latte you can't resist.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
And Kiyosaki argues that most people are actually piling up liabilities.
Often thinking they're buying assets.
Yeah, like that big house with the hefty mortgage.
Looks impressive, but
if it's not generating income,
it's liability.
It's sucking money out of your pocket every month.
And Kiyosaki uses this concept to really challenge how we think about wealth. He has this great quote, "The rich buy assets. The poor only have expenses. The middle class buy liabilities they think are assets."
Whoa.
It's a pretty bold statement, right?
It is, but it makes you think.
It does. And it ties into another key principle from the book, the idea that the rich don't work for money.
They make money work for them.
Exactly. They break free from that rat race.
Where you're trading your time for money.
Yeah, and often making someone else rich in the process.
Instead, they focus on building assets
that generate passive income.
So even while they're sleeping,
their money is working for them.
Generating more wealth.
Think of it like rental properties, bringing in monthly checks.
Dividends from stocks.
Or a business that's running smoothly even without you constantly having to be there.
It's all about creating that financial freedom.
And getting out of that 9-to-5 grind.
Which brings us to another interesting point. Kiyosaki doesn't actually say everyone needs to quit their job and become an entrepreneur.
He doesn't. He talks about this concept of minding your own business.
Even if you have a 9-to-5.
It's about shifting your focus.
From being an employee to building your own asset column.
Exactly. It could be starting small,
Like learning about real estate.
Building a side hustle.
Contributing to your retirement account.
The key is to be proactive and start taking control of your financial future.
So it's not about quitting your job necessarily.
It's about that mindset shift.
And that brings us to another cool idea from the book, this concept of inventing money.
Now that sounds intriguing.
Right.
Almost like magic.
It's not about finding a hidden treasure chest.
It's about developing your financial intelligence.
Seeing opportunities that others miss.
And knowing how to capitalize on them.
Like that story Kiyosaki tells about buying a rundown house.
With 4 extra empty lots.
He saw the potential, flipped it for a quick profit. And it really highlights this idea that financial success isn't just about working hard.
It's about working smart.
It's about having that financial literacy to spot opportunities and make them work for you.
And that ties back to the importance of financial education.
Something that Kiyosaki is very passionate about.
He criticizes the traditional education system for not preparing people to manage money effectively.
He argues that we need to be constantly learning and expanding our financial knowledge. So instead of chasing the highest paying job right out of school,
maybe you should be focusing on acquiring skills that can help you build long-term wealth.
Kiyosaki talks about how he strategically jumped between companies early in his career.
To gain experience in sales marketing management.
He saw it as an investment in his future.
Those are the skills that he says will ultimately give you the most leverage and flexibility.
It's a very different way of thinking about career development.
It is. But of course, the path to financial freedom isn't always smooth sailing.
There are obstacles.
both internal and external.
Kiyosaki identifies 5 major ones.
Fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance.
He doesn't sugarcoat it.
He's very upfront about the challenges you'll face.
But he also emphasizes that the rich have learned to overcome these obstacles,
They've developed strategies to manage them.
to turn setbacks into opportunities.
Like, he says he's never met a rich person who hasn't lost money.
But he's met plenty of poor people who've never lost a dime because they've been too afraid to invest.
Fear can be paralyzing.
But it can also be a motivator.
Kiyosaki encourages readers to embrace calculated risks
To learn from their mistakes.
and to understand that failure is a part of the process.
So we've covered a lot of ground just in this first part of our deep dive.
We've explored the power of mindset,
The importance of understanding assets versus liabilities,
the idea of making money work for you.
and the strategies for overcoming obstacles on the road to financial freedom.
And this is just the beginning.
We've got so much more to unpack.
So much more to learn from Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive even deeper into Kiyosaki's principles and strategies.
We'll look at specific examples
Explore some of the criticisms of his approach.
and discuss how you can apply these concepts to your own financial journey.
It's going to be packed with actionable insights.
So grab your copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
And get ready to unlock the secrets to financial freedom.
We'll see you in part 2.
Bye for now.
Now, before we jump back in, I think it's important to acknowledge that Rich Dad, Poor Dad has also stirred up some controversy.
Yeah, it definitely has. It's not without its critics.
Some argue that Kiyosaki's advice is a little oversimplified.
Yeah, like those get-rich-quick schemes.
Right. And that he doesn't really address the risks involved in investing.
Like that story about flipping the rundown house.
Yeah, it can sound a little too good to be true.
And there's been debate about whether the Rich Dad character even existed.
Some people think it was more of a literary device. Exactly. But even with the criticisms, I think Rich Dad, Poor Dad has value in that it gets people thinking differently about money.
It challenges the status quo.
Exactly. It pushes you to question those conventional beliefs and consider alternative paths.
To take control of your financial future.
And one of the key areas where Kiyosaki really challenges conventional wisdom is in his approach to taxes.
Oh yeah, he definitely goes there. He argues that the wealthy use the tax system to their advantage.
Right. They understand the rules of the game, and they use those rules strategically.
He talks about the power of corporations.
How business owners can legally minimize their tax burden.
And protect their assets.
He contrasts this with how employees earn money, pay taxes, and then spend what's left.
While business owners can structure things differently.
They can earn, spend, and then pay taxes on what remains.
It's a fascinating perspective.
And it highlights how different financial structures can impact your overall wealth.
But of course, this is where seeking professional advice becomes really important.
Absolutely. What works for one person might not be the right strategy for another.
It's about understanding the principles and then applying them thoughtfully to your individual situation. So we've talked about mindset shifts and understanding how money works.
But Kiyosaki also provides some concrete action steps you can take to start building wealth.
Like finding your why,
That driving force that fuels your financial journey.
your financial North Star.
It keeps you focused on your long-term goals, even when things get tough.
He also talks about the power of small, consistent choices.
Those daily decisions that might seem insignificant in the moment, but actually compound over time.
Like that saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Exactly. Even small actions can create big results.
Like skipping your daily latte and investing that money instead.
It's about shifting your focus from instant gratification to delayed gratification.
From spending to investing.
And Kiyosaki also emphasizes the importance of surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you.
Building your own board of directors.
A team of mentors and advisors who can guide you and offer different perspectives.
People who can challenge you to think bigger.
And open doors to new opportunities.
It's about leveraging the wisdom and experience of others. Now, one thing that really struck me from Rich Dad, Poor Dad was Kiyosaki's definition of wealth.
Oh, yeah, it's a powerful one.
He says wealth is a person's ability to survive so many numbers of days forward, or if I stopped working today, how long could I survive?
It's not about how much money you have in the bank.
It's about financial freedom.
How long could you sustain your current lifestyle if your income suddenly stopped?
It makes you think about your expenses.
Your income streams.
And whether your current resources could support you if you faced a financial setback.
It's about building that safety net
That financial buffer.
that allows you to weather unexpected storms.
And make choices without being dictated by financial constraints.
It's about achieving true financial independence.
So Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a call to action.
It's about rethinking your relationship with money
Taking control of your financial future.
and building a more secure and fulfilling life.
But putting these ideas into action can feel overwhelming.
It's a lot to digest.
So what are some tangible takeaways that listeners can start implementing today?
Well, one of the most important things is to start developing your financial literacy.
Kiyosaki is a huge advocate for self-education.
There are so many resources available these days.
Books, podcasts, online courses.
You don't need a formal education to become financially savvy.
It's about taking the initiative to learn and grow.
And it's not just about the technical aspects of finance.
It's about developing that critical thinking mindset.
Learning to question assumptions.
To see opportunities.
And to make informed decisions.
Okay, so we've covered so much ground in our Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Deep dive, mindset shifts, investing principles, even those controversial bits.
We really tried to break it all down.
But now let's bring it all together.
Yeah.
What are those key takeaways people can actually implement in their lives? If they're feeling inspired.
I think a great starting point, honestly, is self-awareness. Kiyosaki talks about this a lot, right? About how we all have these beliefs about money.
A money blueprint.
Yeah. And a lot of times we inherit those beliefs without even realizing it.
From our parents, our upbringing.
Exactly. He contrasts his own dads, right? His poor dad believed in that secure job, the good education.
While his rich dad was all about entrepreneurship.
Investing, taking risks.
And neither is wrong, but it's about recognizing those beliefs you have and asking, are these actually helping me?
Or are they holding me back? That's step one.
That inner work.
Totally. Then once you've done that, understanding that difference between assets and liabilities.
Which we talked about before, but it's huge EE.
It's at the foundation.
So making those conscious choices with your money.
Instead of impulse buying that new car.
Or that bigger house you don't really need.
Pause and ask, is this putting money in my pocket?
Or taking it out. It's not about being cheap.
It's about aligning your spending with your goals.
Okay, so we're self-aware, we're spending intentionally.
That's next. Action.
Action.
Kiyosaki really emphasizes this. You got to overcome that fear, take that first step.
Even if it's scary.
Because the rich, they're willing to take risks, to make mistakes.
And learn from them.
There's that quote, winners are not afraid of losing, but losers are.
Failure is part of the process.
So whether it's investing in real estate,
starting that side hustle you've been dreaming of,
even just reading a book about personal finance.
Take action.
And don't be afraid to ask for help either.
Build that board of directors.
Around those mentors.
Advisors, people who can guide you.
Who've been there before.
Now, throughout this whole deep dive, one quote that stuck with me is how Kiyosaki defines wealth.
How many days could you survive if you stopped working today?
Right. It really shifts your perspective.
It's not about how much money you have.
But how much freedom that money gives you.
Could you handle a sudden job loss?
Unexpected expenses.
That's why building those passive income streams is so crucial.
They give you that cushion.
Peace of mind.
And that brings us back to what Rich Dad, Poor Dad is all about.
It's about taking control.
Examining those money beliefs.
Building a future where you're not trapped by finances.
And it's a journey, right?
It takes time, effort.
But it's so worth it.
Your financial future deserves that investment.
Maybe it starts with something small.
Creating a budget.
Reading more about investing.
Or maybe it's a bigger step.
Exploring a business idea.
Talking to a financial advisor.
Whatever it is, take that first step.
Because you have the power to create that financial freedom.
And remember, we're here to support you every step of the way.
We've got more deep dives coming.
More books to break down.
More actionable insights to share.
So keep learning, keep growing.
And keep striving for that top 1% life.
Thanks for joining us on this Rich Dad, Poor Dad deep dive.
It's been a pleasure exploring it with you.
We'll see you next time.